Got it. Right, everybody. Let's just wait for a few people to come on board. Can you see my really old, crazy, like, furnishing here?
I think it's lovely.
I got it all just for you, you know, to coordinate, Michelle. Mariah. Okay, let's see what's firing up here, because 2.5 years on, really, you'd think I'd have mastered the art of this. Michelle, seriously, I mean,
what do I need to be doing here, hun? So I go and find you what you're doing on Facebook and just copy it.
I want you to do a rendition of Mariah Carey, please.
Right. Yeah, not asking too much. Only if you do your J-Lo.
Okay, there we go. Oh, right. Yes, 12 people are watching. Great. So now
what you're doing on Facebook and just copy it.
Crap. Here we go. Right. Okay, keep dreaming. Always there. Everybody, it's me again. Welcome to the Love and Action Show with me, Alpa Soni, and I apologize for my tardiness yet again, but I will get there. I was trying to connect, go live straight from YouTube rather than going through Zoom, so I can do all that fancy artwork and introduce my lovely guest that way. But I think I'm just going to have to slum it again and do it the old-fashioned way and then do it afterwards. So I do apologize for that. But Michelle, welcome to my show, and thank you so much for being patient. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Mariah Carey's sister. She has definitely promised to sing us a rendition of one of Mariah's favorite songs.
And so is J-Lo's sister.
Well, you know, stop it.
Stop it.
We are here, and I'm sure people have cottoned on. And what you can do while you're there, if you've got the YouTube showing on your phone now, you can quickly put it on your Facebook if you want. Otherwise, you can just share the link once the show is finished.
Okay.
So yes, and everyone who was watching my show and is back again here, thank you very much. I have got one more show after this and one at 1:30 with a guy called Champ Pranaya and Charles Wolfe, who's the author of the 1111 Code. So it'll be quite apt to do a show on the 1111 Code. And while Michelle is sharing that stuff, just a few house notes. There's a $25 discount on the Good Lion page for the month of November. So make sure you check out Good Lion. That's www.goodlion.tv. And of course, my autism brand, ARII. And that's found on aribrands.com. So without much further ado, are we all okay, Michelle? Did we send it?
I'm good.
Right. Thank you for coming on board. And it was really nice how we connected. And the other day when we had the beautiful conversation, and I felt the synchronicities aligned, I was thinking of you quite a bit as well. And then this conversation needs to be discussed on a show. And that's because I saw your post about the 10-day challenge, turning pain into power, and the true reflection challenge. So over to you. Just tell us who you are. Now, before she continues, I have to say, I'm going to embarrass her here. She's got a beautiful voice. I was speaking to her on the phone, and I was like, you sound like a professional like radio presenter, and I really need some coaching.
Oh, bless you. That's so kind of you. I'm going to be I need to put on my like sexiest voice now. Self-conscious. So where do you want me to start, love?
Well, I came about your post. So let's start a bit about you and your journey, and you know what you're doing. On Monday, I believe you are starting a 10-day challenge. So yeah, just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you were doing. You've done some extraordinary stuff, which you've shared with me. Share whatever you feel comfortable.
Okay, darling. All right. So I was born to a Filipino mother and an English father. And I was this little girl who used to sit up trees and make sounds. I used to sing to the universe. That's how I saw it. And I used to believe that the vibration of my voice used to give power to all of creation, all of life, as this little girl. Now, my mum and dad got a little bit concerned about this habit that I had. So they thought they'd send me to stage school. And that's where I learned to perform and not be completely myself. So I went on this whole journey with the voice, kind of training my voice to sound a certain way and put on a show for everybody. I was in a girl group as well, actually.
Wow.
Once.
See,
That was very funny.
You've got a great voice.
We could totally be like in a Truth, a girl group. I think that would be quite funny. But basically, I ended up being a vocal coach. So worked in the television and music industries as a vocal coach and worked with some really amazing people. But what became quite apparent very early on was that I was just as passionate about working with the inner voice as I was about working with the voice that people actually presented in the world. And that when you did that work with the inner voice, really the way that you see and speak to yourself, everything started to shift. And the way that people were presenting themselves and feeling about themselves just completely shifted. So this is probably, I don't know if people understand this, but the way that you see and speak to yourself is actually about 90% of what you create in your life, because it affects the way that you show up. And obviously the way that you show up, the things you say yes or no to, that affects the results that you get in every area of your life. So I'm super passionate about doing this work. And the true reflection technique has been around for about 15 years. And originally I was using it to help conscious business owners. So people who make a difference in the world, they're not just in business for profit, they're trying to actually live their purpose and make a difference in the world, but weren't aligned with marketing. They felt kind of about getting themselves visible. And so my work with the true reflection technique was about helping them to feel more comfortable putting themselves out there and becoming magnetic to the people that they were wanting to help in whatever ways they used to work.
It's all about magnetism.
Yes.
It's about that. Yeah.
Exactly, darling. And the thing is that the last couple of years have been one heck of a journey for the whole of humanity. Yeah. And what I've realized myself is that the true reflection technique now, I want to take it out to everybody who knows, because there are people, and certainly your audience, who just know that they're here for a reason. They know that they were created and born with a purpose in mind. They know they're here to birth a new earth. That's how I kind of describe it. But when you have a purpose that's not mainstream, should we put it that way? When you have a belief system that's not mainstream, you tend to go through quite a lot of persecution and shaming and humiliation, which makes you feel like you're not good enough to actually get out there and have a voice and share your vision. And so now the true reflection technique is more about helping all of my soul family to get out of their own way and actually do what we came here to do. Yeah.
Awesome. This is going to start on Monday, right?
Yeah. So I'm running a free 10-day challenge. I've run these many times over the last 15 years. I've taken thousands of people through this process already. But as I say, it's mostly been for conscious business owners until now. Now I'm wanting to just open the doors to everybody who just knows they're here for a reason. It's a super transformational process. You haven't seen it anywhere else. You haven't seen anything like it. Honestly, the shifts that people go through are super profound. It's a way of seeing and speaking to yourself as you probably have never seen and spoken to yourself before. Yeah. You will connect with your purpose and your most authentic divine blueprint, I call it, more deeply than you ever have before, and learn how to communicate with other people in a way that really, truly touches and magnetizes your tribe together.
Yeah. And synchronicities at the moment are very, very high and aligned, I feel. And that's this energetic frequency that is allowing us, should we have the lenses to see them. It's so beautiful. And I love sharing the synchronicities and introducing my guests, especially because I hold everyone who comes onto my channel very dear to me. And it's like having coffee with a friend. And the fact that we spoke the other day, having met haphazardly a few weeks prior, And we've been following each other on Facebook, and I've always noticed you. There's this, what you call the magnetism, MAGA.
I've got a story to tell you about that, Alpa, that I haven't shared with you.
Okay, you can share that with me in a sec. I'd love to. I can't wait to hear it.
It's a little bit vulnerable.
Okay, yeah, I know. I'm looking forward to hearing that. But it's oh gosh, I forgot what I was saying. What was I saying? My train of thought.
You were saying about how we connected.
Oh yes, yeah, and I love the fact that the synchronicities energetically, they matched, but it's almost like another language, if that makes sense. So it's a download that I get, which I'm really tapping into. Sometimes I see things prior to them happening, but I never have trusted myself enough. And in my previous show, I was just explaining to the audience that there has been so many intense energies. And I'd say the last, since April for me was where it kind of really became very, very acutely toxic. Toxic in the sense from a place of transformation, the start of this huge energetic purge. So anything that needed to be cleared, which was triggers, wounds, hurt people, patterns, things that no longer served you, that had come into your life to show you, literally for the purpose, for one last time, are you repeating these patterns, or are you still following X, Y, Z, blah, blah, blah. So, sometimes it's like we can go on in our life, everything's okay, great, but you really sometimes that this girl's not going to really realize unless we really push her over the edge. Or, and a lot of people are really feeling a kaleidoscope of these energetic pushes, and it's all for the good. If we trust the divine, I promise you, because I was in the worst place a few months ago. And I'm being vulnerable here as well, where I thought I wanted to end my life. Okay. Wow. Because it was that bad for me that I couldn't handle what was going on with humanity. The energies were intoxicating. My personal situation was getting very overbearing. And I say this with a lot of love and confidence, not from a feel sorry for me or any kind of that plane, but more from a plane of like, this world is not really where I want to be. Guess what? I can guarantee you, everyone listening to this will have felt that level of exhaustion, maybe not wanting to, like, when you say end your life, it's a metaphor, I think, of end this crap, right?
End this version of me and step into a more powerful version of myself.
Exactly. Yeah. And so this is where these synchronicities start, and it's where it comes, where the surrender starts. And then it's almost like you start sweeping up the mess, tidying it up, and then spending time in isolation to really start connecting to the divine. And that's when you start hearing things clearly. So then when we spoke, the frequencies were powerful. And I spoke to Carol the other day, and we're on a show today. They were powerful, they were aligned, and it was interesting how we had similar parallel stories. So I'm over to you. You were going to share something with me, Vanya.
It's really interesting because I didn't know that it all started in April for you, like the sort of amplification of the energies, but April was when it started for me this year too. So literally everything unraveled this year to bring me back to my purpose, which is really interesting. But I want to share this with you because I know we met doing, the little ceremony that we were doing.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
It was beautiful. But I actually have been watching you since the first lockdown. Okay. And when I first started watching you, I was so triggered by you. Right? So triggered. And here's why. So I gave birth to my little girl, Phoenix, about 6 days before the first lockdown began. So I'm like in new mummy mode, feeling fat, frumpy, not doing the things that I used to love doing, like just being a mum. And then you started to come onto my screen, stunningly beautiful all the time, and just everywhere, Alpa, you were just everywhere. And I was so triggered because I wasn't brave enough to do what you were doing. I wasn't brave enough to have the conversations that you were having. And it made me take a step back and kind of look at myself. Now, I'm going to tell you, it took me some time to understand why you were triggering me. But these
thank you for sharing. This is for sharing this.
Yeah, but when I saw you at the ceremony, I needed to come and tell you thank you, because you know, the things that trigger us in life, and actually the things that are painful that we've been through, the experiences that we've been through, you have the power to transform all of those things, the stories that you tell yourself about those things, into fuel that will absolutely just skyrocket every single thing that matters to you the most. If you're brave enough to go there and thank those experiences and really hear those experiences and what they're actually there to teach you. And if you're willing to reintegrate all of those parts of yourself that you said are not good enough, are not worthy, there's so much power in becoming whole again and stepping forward as that version of yourself. And so I just wanted to thank you, darling, again, because your bravery in getting out there and having the conversations that you were having and just embodying this divine feminine goddess energy triggered the power out of me, right?
Yeah, and I'll counteract that with another vulnerable story, but I'll let you finish.
Yeah, it triggered the power out of me. So I reflected and I found something inside of myself. And actually, all of these steps that I've been down throughout these last few years have led me back to this place where I'm back aligned with my purpose and taking the true reflection technique out there into the world in a bigger way than I ever have before. And so you had a big part to play in that, darling.
And then look, when we kept missing each other, I just wanted to call you. I felt very most people close to me know I'm terrible at responding to messages, and I'm not a massive phone person. And it's just the technology, radiation, talking sometimes really drains me. And I honor myself right now, because my energy is my currency right now, my greatest asset, because I gave it too much away to the wrong people. And when I felt compelled to speak to you, this is it. You've now filled in the piece of the puzzle, which is that frequency, that pull to speak to you. So folks, everyone that's watching, this is the power of energy. We speak a lot about it, but it is our highest form of currency, as I metaphorically say. And you know, it's very nice and noble of you and brave to share that, because vulnerability is a beautiful thing used in the right way and said and explained in the right way, because it's there for us to own our shadow side, own the kind of parts of us that that seem a bit murky and that we don't really know what to do with. And then the self-deprecating side as well, we kind of have to look at that and say, well, why am I behaving like this? Why do I need to, I don't know, for example, put myself down to or minimize myself so that other people don't feel uncomfortable. Now, with regards to when I came out in this movement, it was an uncontrollable thing. It was just a natural thing. I never was one to speak on Facebook. In fact, I was incredibly shy, but I'm quite a private person. In this journey of self-discovery and all of that, I definitely suspect I sit on the spectrum. And isn't it weird now that I'm in a business that's aligned to help autistic children? And it's a huge, beautiful, magnificent story, which, you know, is parallel to what you've just shared with us, that ultimately what was triggering you led to that conversation where I turned around and said, hey, do you want to do a show?
Yeah.
Right? Because I just, in fleeting, I have this, because I read very quickly, I just skim through main points, true reflection show. I wonder what that's about. I've got to speak to her. I met her the other day. Let's reconnect. She's got nice energy. That's exactly all I thought. And I said, plus our beautiful friend Prash, who I'd love to acknowledge if you're watching, Prash.
Yes.
And Sneha. Prash is someone
you.
Not wait to have on the show. He is just one of the most sweetest souled up individuals, and it's because of him I got to meet Michelle in person. So I get that, you know, and it is these triggers that we can get egotistical about either, or we can sweep it under the carpet, and we can sort of tell a story to ourselves, which is what you were saying.
Exactly.
About what that trigger is, and what I call is excusatitis, or that self-cognitive dissonance,
Yeah.
and like not employing a truth for yourself.
Mhm.
So yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. I trigger a lot of people.
Most of the good people do. I trigger everybody as well. It's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think you've got a great, like I was telling you, we were speaking on the phone. It's like, right, I'm on this self-love journey. It's not MAGA, it's make Alpa great.
I love it. I love that. I was so wishing that my name began with A so that I could have a MAGA comeback too, but never mind.
Alpa great again. But that, when I say that in a consistent way, I mean it more from a place of like, where I was just in April and where I am now. So yeah. So wow, thanks. Yeah. So where are you now though, emotionally? Where is it? Where are you going from here? Because you're going to be doing this magnificent challenge from Monday, and I support that.
I feel like this version of the challenge is going to have more fire than it's ever had before. Because here's the thing, right? If you think about it like this, so everybody talks about manifesting and showing up as your most powerful version of you, and it's all a little bit happy. And, it's like the shiny stuff, isn't it? It's the sunshine and rainbows and unicorns. But here's the thing. If you can't show up in the difficult stuff and in the darkness as your most powerful self too, you're only creating for a very small period of time, because this life that we're living is just so full of challenges and obstacles that if you can only show up as your most powerful self in the good times, then you're kind of wasting the experience, right? So this year has been a hooey. It's been a big, big year. So from April, wow, I was like earning this crazy passive income, more money than I've ever earned in my entire life. I was getting very lazy, very comfortable, and I wasn't living my purpose, and I wasn't doing my work.
Right.
So what did the creator have to do?
Shake you up, shake that booty.
Turned it off, babe. So it just disappeared overnight.
Yeah.
And then straight off the back of that, I get hit with a no fault eviction notice. Oh, but I've got no income. So it was like, and it was literally one thing after another. Then I had personal, like physical challenges. I had family members be hospitalized. I had the end of a relationship. I just had literally everything you can possibly throw at a person. It was just completely unbelievable. And then suddenly I realized, oh my gosh, Michelle, you've completely missed. You've just lost the message. You didn't get the memo. Like, it's going to get worse and worse and worse and worse until you stop and realize you are not living your purpose.
Yes.
Right. And it was the biggest realization for me, because it's like literally everything has to be stripped away until you get it. We're living in extraordinary times right now. There are multiple converging challenges coming together. And here's the thing that I know through my own personal experience of working with literally the most incredible souls on the planet over the last 15 years. For every single challenge that we have on this planet, there is one of us that has the answer. Okay, there is somebody that has the answer. And if you are still living in a place where you doubt yourself and you don't know the power that you have to create positive change and play your role in birthing the new earth, then it's time to change that, because we don't have time to be sitting around playing small anymore. We need to step into our creator and we need to make things happen. So my role is helping people to do that. And for me, sitting back, earning a passive income off crypto investments is not living my purpose.
Yeah.
This is what I'm born to do. I'm born to do this. So of course, and this is the thing, it's like when you're going through really difficult times, sometimes it's so hard to see the blessing in it. Sometimes it's so difficult.
Of course it is. Of course it is. But you have a background in coaching and helping people, teaching or educating.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whichever way. And that is a gift in itself, because it's a support. And to really have someone in front of you and you can look at them and think, wow, you're a gift, but to get the ability to help them see it. See, there's a difference between false flattery and false, placating, all of that kind of stuff, because it's manipulative. And there's a lot of that goes on around here. And I got duped by that in this movement.
Yeah.
I was very lonely at the start. You talked about the, I started off and then suddenly I'm like, oh, crap. I've gone so far, and I realized the friends were falling off, and I didn't stop. I was just blinkered like this, bull in a china shop like this, and a horse that has those like blindfolds or whatever around their eyes, and I just wasn't looking and just went straight, save the children, because I was so disturbed by what we all found out.
Yeah.
And I thank God in one way to give me that shut the energy, that divine goddess energy, shut the what we call the Mahal energy, which was just, I don't care. I want everyone to wake up, and we all as humanity have to, rise up for this cause. And then bang, nothing happened. There's only a certain proportion of people. And who would have thought it would have turned out this way? Because just general human compassion would tell you that child gets abused, people will believe you, right? Like if you say
this is painful for most people to even look at.
And I didn't realize that, because I guess we all have a story to tell, right? And we have to really continue fighting. And sorry, I've lost my train of thought, but this movement was hard on many, and like you rightfully said, it's too painful. We have to remember and take ourselves back to that time, and it was mad. It was crazy, but we learned a lot. We grew, we fell, we are here where we are in the now. One thing that I take is that with a smile on my face, is that I've formed and forged such great connections with people who I never thought I would. My lessons with fair weathered people along the way. People will like to align with you if it's a benefit for them, and you're learning all of this kind of stuff. So I had to go through these patterns and all of that in this movement to realize that actually, ultimately, everything points back to me.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
These are situations and people and the roles they've played in the script of your life to come and teach you something.
Yeah.
So even if it's a bad experience, what is it that you need to change within yourself? Like you can literally cut off connections and energetic connections with people, and and you can feel congruent and aligned that this energy, now I cut the cords, no explanation, move on, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Or there is situations and people that will turn up because of patterns and behaviors that you haven't cut yourself. So that energetic frequency will be a repetitive rhetoric.
Yeah.
See what we call in Sanskrit the Leela of this life, right? The Leela, the play. We're in a play, and we're merely actors in this play, and we can direct it, and the directors within our own movie.
Yes, exactly. I talk about the frequency of your focus a lot. And so what I mean about that is, when you look at yourself, do you know what? Let's just go all the way back to the beginning, because this is where it all began, right? In your childhood, from birth, from before birth, from previous lifetimes, right? You've had certain experiences in your timeline where you have decided that these things meant a certain thing about you. These things mean that you're unworthy of love, or whatever it might be. So I'll give you an experience. I'll give you an example, which is actually a light-hearted one. We talked about it on the phone that time. When I was 3, I got all of my mum's really expensive makeup out, and they were downstairs. My mum and dad were downstairs, and I thought, if I draw a really beautiful picture on their bedroom wall, they are going to be so happy with me. They're going to love me so much, and I'm going to get so much praise. I just thought it was a good idea. So I drew this huge mural, beautiful work of art with mum's lipsticks and eyeliners and all the things. And I was really surprised when I got into a lot of trouble for that.
Yeah.
And actually it was the completely opposite reaction to what I was expecting. And it wasn't obviously until many years later, but what I realized is that what I had told myself, the story that I told myself about that experience was being creative, expressing yourself does not get you love. And so all of my life, when I had opportunities to express my true self, I would actually choose to perform instead.
Right.
People please instead. I would say no to things that I really wanted to do because I was worried about what people would say about me. And I would say yes to things I really did not want to do because I just wanted someone's approval.
Yeah.
So, you know, every time you do that, you start to lose faith in yourself
100%.
because you're not backing yourself. You're not loving yourself, right?
How old were you?
Sorry, darling.
How old were you here when this happened?
In my mind, I think I was about 3. I was very little.
Very, very impressionable time. So between 1 and 7, they're the most formative years of a child's psychological makeup. And, you know, you are very impressionable. And this, your mother is the foundation of everything that you think, feel, see in life, your outlook on life.
Exactly.
So when you were doing something with so much love and innocence, and to be rejected from that, it started a programming within you of your self-worth, and that deprecating programming of that never expressed myself. So for you, it was internalized as never expressed myself because I need to minimize myself now to kind of get by in life, not even to be seen. Exactly. And if we look at how fractured society is from an observational plane, is these are the psyops that they've played with us psychologically and spiritually, so much through media, through all the institutions that we're a part of, and then the energetics as well, the manipulation that goes on. So as a 3-year-old, Michelle was now like going on in life and beginning, or 3 or 5-year-old, whatever between those ages, you were going on in your life as, right, I'm going to achieve, but I'm going to have to like do so much to get anywhere.
Pretend I'm someone I'm not.
Yeah.
Not actually express myself.
And I just want to acknowledge everybody in the room. The numbers have started going up. I think people must be just hitting that previous. Do forgive me if you're here and you tried to click that previous link at this one of Alpa Technotard situations that happen, and I find it hilarious. But I want to just acknowledge a lady who, Moira, hi, thank you for joining. And you said something earlier on. Where was it? She said, we learned to keep our mouths shut because our families did not believe us. And also when you share your pain, others really don't know what to say. So in your experience going along in life, like the way you did, like you seem like you've achieved stuff, but these patterns then start cropping up in various different ways. They don't take the same form or the exact same way that it happened then, but the frequency and the energetics are the same.
Yeah, exactly. Until you decide to tell a different story.
Yeah.
And you get to choose. You get to choose whenever you choose to, you know, tell a completely different story. So I could have gone back. Well, I did go back many years later and go, well, what did that actually mean? It meant my mum was a bit upset that I just squashed all of her favorite lipsticks into the wall. You know, it's a completely different story. You don't have to have so much, you know,
emotion and
attachments, to a thing happening. So it's kind of when you unpick all of this stuff, I mean, there's just you bring your power back into you being able to focus that attention into what you're trying to create, rather than dealing with the trigger that actually probably wasn't meant to hurt you in the first place, you know. And essentially your ego is just trying to protect you, and that's actually a really beautiful thing. So it's kind of when you can transform that pain literally into power, you don't need protecting anymore, because you're in your power and you're creating from that place. For me, I love watching somebody, witnessing somebody. Let me come back to this frequency of focus piece, right? For me, if you can look at yourself and train yourself to focus on your God spark instead of focusing on all of the nonsense that your inner critic tells you about yourself. If you can keep on bringing your focus back to the highest frequency, right? The frequency of your focus. How high is the frequency of your focus on yourself, and how frequently are you focusing at that frequency on yourself? Because it really matters, right? And this is the practice that we have in the True Reflection Technique. It's about seeing yourself the way that your creator sees you, because it's none of your business how other people see you. It's none of your business, you know, at all what they think of you, but your creator, that's the only eyes that you should care about, how they see you. And your creator sees you as the most perfect, beautiful creation that was put here for a purpose. So who are you to argue with that?
Wow, you know, I mean, he kind of had, I was a bit of a complicated case, and, you know, he persevered, and then he just turned around and says, this one is slightly a bit faulty, but we would just 2 months before, and then, you know, at 11:11, and it just all went energetically like crazy. But look, it's absolutely true that when we are seeking validation from the outside, okay, and a lot of us don't realize we're even doing it. We can go on this kind of, I don't care what anyone thinks about me. I really don't care. I just don't care about what anyone thinks of me, but it's said with that attitude, right? And it's, and you come home and then you're like really like nail biting and thinking, getting ruminating. And I'm guilty. I used to be guilty of that, because you are taught not to trust yourself. Okay. We are taught through the programming, we have to learn to forgive ourselves for not knowing him better. Take it a step back when we were talking about your mom or our parents, that when we have done something, you change the script and you flip the script in your own mind and you just told yourself a different story. Damn, I must have, like, you know, spoiled her $15 lipstick and she's going to be annoyed about that. That's all, nothing personal to me. But you're young, emotionally kind of sensitive, you're innocent, and any kind of, you know, confrontation can scare any little child. Okay, so there has to be that awareness, that forgiveness to self for not knowing better. Our parents didn't have a manual when they, you know, it's just about you were about to be pushed out. It's like, right, God will send you a man and say, right, Michelle, right now you're going to be this kind of parent, right? None of us got that. Well, I'm not a parent, but our parents didn't get that. Their parents didn't get that. And it works through this generational cycle of either trauma, psychological warfare that's happened, the spiritual side of it. There's so many layers to this, and now we are in a magnificent time that we can discuss and have these kind of conversations. Look at it, take it back to our parents' generation, where, you know, even if you said something about a spiritual world, oh, she's mad, right? That's what you mention. It's all mumbo jumbo. What has the cabal done? They have hijacked the spiritual community. The spiritual warfare in the collective consciousness has been so tainted that we don't even learn how to question. They so sophisticatedly do that, where we just don't know how to question, and it's so subliminal that we don't even realize that we're doing it, because we become commercial and materialistic and then deeper and deeper into the matrix. So then it just serves it along the whole way. Very clever what the devil's done.
Extremely.
Right? If I say that, it sounds sinister, but if you look at the way that this is all being orchestrated, it is you know, we're moving now into better energies, and I can feel that. I can really feel it. But going back to April and our situation of how everything felt very heavy, it was very necessary. Now sitting here, Michelle, can you see, I saw what that happened.
Exactly.
You're like, you know, like I said, I just lost the will to live, and I just can't do this anymore. Honor it and cherish it, and be honest.
Exactly. And I just really want to honor you for going through that, and actually choosing to come back and stand up and step back into your power, because it's hard sometimes. It's hard to keep going sometimes, you know, but this is why it's so important to stand up and find your people, because the thing is, the only way that you find your people is by being who you truly are, right? I always talk about, no matter what you do in life, there's always going to be 3 types of people that you come across, right? So no matter which path you choose to take, there's going to be 3 types of people you come across. And the first type of person is always going to be indifferent to what you do. They're the biggest group of people, and it doesn't matter how good you are at what you do or what you choose to do, how good you look, how amazing you are at what you do, how much money you earn, whatever, they're never going to care. They're never going to notice. So you might as well just ignore them. Then there's another group of people, smaller group of people, but they're going to hate you. Everything you do, they're going to criticize and hate you. Doesn't matter how good you are or what you choose to do, they're still going to hate you. So you might as well just ignore them too. And there's another group of people, a much, much smaller group of people. And when you truly be who you were put here to be, they are going to recognize you on a soul level. And they're going to say, that's my person. That's my soul family. I feel the same way as that person. And they're going to love you for who you actually are. And the thing is that so much of the time we go through life focusing on the haters and the people who are never going to notice us anyway, way too much, trying to get their approval, when we can just shift our focus to just simply expressing who we were put here to be by our creator, and then actually attracting the people who are going to love us for that person.
Yeah.
We just need to shift our focus, the frequency of our focus. Just keep on bringing it back, bringing it back. Who am I? Who was I put here to be? How am I supposed to see myself? How does love see me?
This is powerful.
And then attract from there.
Yeah, but we need those lessons. Those lessons are very, very important. Yeah, I have some friends that have kind of plain sailed throughout life, the family, and God bless them, because that's what they chose to do. And they chose this script. I really believe that. And I say this from a place of love, and they've glided through life within the lack of dysfunctional family unit. They've grown up, and then the kids have all become, like within my community, they're in really good jobs, doctors, dentists, engineers, and you know how that's kind of praised in our communities. And then they go on and then they buy their own, they have the best education, and they go and buy their like £5 million house, blah, blah, blah. There's a fundamental thing that I observed. Are they truly happy? And in our generation. And this is something that I've observed acutely. And this is for people who are, and I don't like explaining it in terms of sides. I mean it like people who are in the matrix that are believing what the government is saying. That's what I mean. And these are those people who, have done everything that they've told, been involved in the academic fraternities, and, really done well for themselves. And then have gone into marriages that I know that they're not happy in. And that then they have the kids, but it's chasing the material grind.
Yeah.
And there's this false sense of reality that is what equates to happiness. The spiritual compass is not explored at all. So for example, I sent one of my shows that I'd done yesterday, and I sent it to the wrong person. I said this to my last show. I sent it to the wrong person. And this is this friend, this sort of pseudo-intellectual academic friend. And it was sent, and he's like, oh, here we go. Because it had Trump and sovereignty and the sovereign mind and, what truly is going on. So we have to learn to look at all these differences. We need to coexist in our life. We have to coexist. And we have we've thrown our toys out of our pram, trying to convince people, this is the truth, awaken, la, la, la. We got to have a reality check ourselves, because people who are meant to awaken will. And so many people will say to you, Michelle, thank you for putting that post up. You don't realize that changed my life. But you try and tell your family that, they won't even look your way, right?
Yes.
But look at the beautiful divine intervention there. Your audience is much bigger. You're meant to reach more people. You have to come out of that sort of herd-based mentality ourselves too, right? And know that what we are trying to do is on a different frequency.
Totally.
Employ everything with love and compassion.
Yeah.
And forgiveness.
The thing is, honey, what I've learned over the years is that, the people that I work with they've always felt like they don't fit in. Always. They've always felt like the outsider, like a loner. And there's that saying that says, if you feel like you don't fit into the world, it's because you're here to create a new one. Like literally, that is what it is. Have you ever heard the story, Dr. Bruce Lipton talking about metamorphosis?
Yes, you were telling me about this on the phone the other day, and
This,
some time ago.
yeah, this for me is like the best explanation of where we are right now on the planet. Like, you and I are not actually individuals. We're literally communities of trillions of cells in the body of humanity, right? If we were cells in the body of a caterpillar, when that caterpillar starts to go through the process of metamorphosis, it looks like it's the end of the world. Like, literally everything that we used to be doing, all of the systems that made up this caterpillar are literally melting, dissolving into this caterpillar goo inside of this chrysalis. And if you were a cell in that caterpillar, you'd be thinking, please, my God, can we just go back to being a caterpillar and eating leaves and moving like this? Please, can we just go back to that? But you can't go back.
No.
And it is a bit scary and a bit dark, right? But in amongst all of this crazy stuff, the imaginal cells start to come online. And these imaginal cells are completely identical to the old paradigm caterpillar cells, apart from one thing: their focus, their perception. Their perception, their vision is called the butterfly. And do you know what? It's never been done before for that particular caterpillar. It's never been done before. It's impossible. So what happens is when the imaginal cells come online and they say, wow, we've got this vision called the butterfly, the old paradigm caterpillar cells come and snuff them out. They're like, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Go and get a normal job, you weirdo, right? Who do you think you are? Nobody wants to hear that. You know, all of the stuff that you've ever heard that's been a bit hurtful, that makes you play small, that's all the stuff that we hear at this point. You know what happens inside of that caterpillar during the process of metamorphosis? The imaginal cells keep on showing up. They keep on holding the vision, and then they start to pull together. They start to attract and magnetize their cluster, other cells that see the same vision. And then they're too strong for the old paradigm caterpillar cells to snuff out their light anymore. And that is when the butterfly, this impossible vision, emerges from the chrysalis. And that's where we are.
And Mariah, I feel the song coming. You need to end that with "spread your wings and fly." I did call her Mariah, everyone. Right?
That's so funny.
That was definitely. No, that is powerful. Can you see that? Like, see how the metamorphosis of ourselves, we all go through it. We go through several, several dark nights of the soul. It's not just one. It's stages, phases.
And the inner critic just says, don't be so stupid. You can't do that. Who do you think you are? Yeah.
And change is the law of the universe. That's the thing, that the only law that's constant is change.
Yeah.
Change is the most solid law of the universe, because our perceptions will always evolve, change. It depends what our circumstances are, the environment that we're in. And we cannot forgo that or ignore that, because, it's all about energy. So if you're in an energetic arena of, I don't know, let's take your workplace, and you're just around like negative people all the time, you have to be such a strong-willed person within yourself not to get affected by anything.
Yeah.
Okay. But, or if you're living in a house with people that are negative, or if there's just energetics in a house that's not conducive to your frequency, and you can see that you've just been pulled in from every direction, and you have energy vampires that you attract all the time. What needs to happen then? We need to go into that awareness ourselves. Because when the same things happen over and over again, we only have one person to talk to, which is ourselves, and that inner voice. That what changes do I need to make? What energy do I need to change? It doesn't have to be physical or literal, obvious changes, but it can be just the mindset. And it's like you said, bringing it back to what you said right at the start. And the theme of this is just the stories we tell ourselves.
Do you know the question that I love the most? The question that I think is the most powerful to ask yourself, because before answers come questions, right?
Is it?
And this is a good question that I hope everybody keeps in their back pocket for the rest of their lives. Okay. What do you need to hear right now?
Yeah. £5 million in my bank account, please.
No, what do you need to hear right now? And if you're really, truly honest with yourself, like, do you know what? I actually did this with my son last night. And if you sit with
How old
somebody,
is he now? Two and a half, right?
he's 15. My son is actually 15, and then I've got a 12-year-old daughter and a 2-year-old daughter.
2-year-old, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
But if you hold somebody's hands and you sit with somebody and you look into their eyes and you train yourself to see their most divine self, right, beyond all of their personality stuff, beyond all the stories they tell about themselves, if you train yourself to see their God spark, see their power, see their beauty, see their truest self, right, their soul. Once you're there and you can see that part of them, just know, number one, the more that you see that in somebody else, the more you call it forth. If you can train yourself to do this very naturally, like as your default, people will present their best selves to you wherever you go because you're calling that part of them forth. If you ever notice, like when you can feel someone's contempt for you, you feel like you actually want to be a bit more, it brings out the worst in you, doesn't it? Right?
Used to, definitely used to. I now come through those kind of energies and I think, do you want to hug? But maybe I don't want to hug you.
There you go. What would love do? Yeah, you come from love.
No, I've learned to decide. Yeah, no, I just like, put the bubble around me, all the protections,
there you go,
and put mirrors around me. And this is very powerful, everyone, because when you're doing just a simple technique of protection, we're in a spiritual world. We've got to like pay attention to all the layers of everything that's going on the internal wall. And it helps if we are well versed, or at least keep our spiritual hygiene, up to speed, where you can learn how to not give your power away. We don't realize
take it back.
Unknowingly we give our power away. So that's again going to that people pleasing, self-deprecating stories we tell ourselves, the words we use. Yeah, everybody is going on this movement and we know about predictive programming, we know about spellings and this, that, the other, but we are also programmed. So we are unhooking ourselves from these programs and going into new paradigms. So it's not a crime to be loving to yourself and kind. When my mum said this innocently some time back, and again, correcting your mum, you feel a little bit like, oh God, she's my mum. But no, we're all people operating at a level of consciousness where we've met ourselves. And she said something, she goes, blah, 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 blah. She's so full of herself. So I'm like, but mum, would you rather yourself be empty or would you be full of exuberant spirits and exuberant? Are you mistaking it from a different frequency by saying her energy was a little bit off? Because we all should be full of ourselves, not in the arrogant, egotistical, I think I'm just
full of our true selves.
Exactly, right? So again, we look at being selfish in society as, oh, she's just full of herself, she's selfish because you're looking after number one. But that's not the case, because if the self-love that you give yourself over and above what anyone else, you make that pledge to yourself. I do not need validation from outside. I don't need social acceptance from here. I will just do nothing but love myself. Therefore, I will exude that loving energy to my brothers and sisters and people. I'm not going to be for everybody, right?
Yes, that's right.
And when we come into that kind of congruent acceptance, and it's not easy, it's gnarly. Just kiss those biceps. But you've got
to walk through the fire.
Yes. Sometimes I think so what's going on in our chat room? Hi everyone, I haven't even looked. That's how beautiful our connection's been, but I don't mean to neglect you guys. Richard, nice to see you on board. Robert, hello. And Moira, Harry, Russell, just giving you all a lot of, sending you so much. Legit B420. Nick here, no, where is he gone? Nick was on as well. Debbie, if you're still on, sending you all so much love. The British Wrestling Review, thank you so much for your lovely comments, and anyone who's found themselves here and not through the original link. Again, I apologize for the mishap there. What a great conversation. If you've just joined us, we are talking about turning pain into power and all the different layers that comes with that and being our true authentic selves. Michelle is starting a 10-day challenge from Monday next week, the true reflection technique, and information will be put on below in the description as soon as I finish this live. You can find Michelle on Facebook under Michelle Mahal, spelled Mahal. She is like the Taj Mahal, this beautiful person. And any more information, will you have it on your Facebook, or will you quickly?
Yeah, or you can go to my website, michellemahal.com, and sign up for the free challenge that way. I would love to have you. I would love to have anybody who is ready to truly see and speak to themselves the way that your creator intended you to.
Amazing. So it's going to start on Monday and it will finish following 7, so 8, following Wednesday. And what
finishes on the 25th, actually. We just go Monday to Friday and we have the weekend off. Does that make sense? So 5 days the first week and then 5 days the next week.
Oh, right. Okay. So you're just doing 5 and 5 batches.
Yeah.
5. Oh my God. I've been seeing the number 155 right from, I'll tell you, the beginning of October. It's insane.
155. Okay.
155 all the time. 155. I mean, the usual culprits are the 1111s and 221s and all of that. And they have a very significant meaning for me. And it's interesting because, again, when you start observing and noticing things, you'll see more of, because your awareness has grown. You may have been seeing all of this before, but your awareness was just, blurred. And then the more you will attract it. So, we talk about manifestation. There's a lot of attachments that is associated with manifestation. We wonder why we aren't manifesting properly. I used to be guilty of that. And I consciously haven't really gone out there and gone on this manifestation program or anything like that. But when you start, it's like a trial and error. When you start learning what works for you and the rhythm of your own soul and the frequency that you are meant to be on, then we can come to peace and that acceptance of not having to be where we thought we should have been.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
in our purpose. So you said, like, you've been doing fantastic things on the crypto, in the crypto space. Great. The money side is great. And, you can't pay your bills with a hug, right? And we can talk with Larry and that for whatever, but we need money. Abundance is our birthright, people. We need to get that into our mindsets.
100%.
Is our birthright. We've been robbed and stripped of that in all the psyops that they've played. And then subsequently, it's had a huge impact on our psychological makeup, where we feel guilty for having good things. You owe nothing, no one, and you have every right to earn money, to live an abundant life, and to be exuberant in your spirit, and to
not just that's your duty.
Yeah, to be the best version of yourself. However, to pretend to do something just because, now let's talk about the influence of social media, which we spoke about in my previous show, but just wanted to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Do you have your courses on social media, or is it just you, not courses, but this challenge that you're doing is just on Facebook, right? And then your website. Yeah.
The True Reflection Challenge is, for me, I feel one of the most healing things that can possibly happen on social media. It's really difficult to explain the process that people go through inside of the challenge, but it's actually using the good power of social media. Like, social media for me is literally, it's like human consciousness. You can literally see where human consciousness is by what is being shared. And it's almost like the law of attraction, because the algorithm just shows you what you like. And it's kind of, it's an interesting space, social media. And so I actually quite enjoy taking something that has clearly been put into place to disempower us in the opposite way. Just like they like to invert things, I like to invert things too. So we can use all of these tools that they've employed to actually benefit us. And I absolutely love running these challenges, because it makes social media an actual really positive thing.
Everything has a, the duality.
Good or bad, right?
Yeah, and once we come in, because imagine if everything was really, really good and really, really like, of course, it's great. Everyone's version of good is different, so
Mhm.
we have those variables. But if we just had daytime and no nighttime, that's dark light. Like,
Yeah,
would we go to sleep? When it's just the natural law, the universal law of how things are. And we can get a bit bipolar about things, that things just have to be here. This is what we're doing. We're transmuting that. We're just kind of
exactly.
emphasizing the opposites, and we're just neutralizing the charges.
Exactly.
And all of that. So it's coming into what? That tandem and balance.
Exactly.
I say this quite often, but I have really enjoyed this conversation. I've got
I
another
love
show.
just connecting with you, full stop, my love.
Just looked at the time. I was like, is it an hour already? Gosh, I've got 4 shows today, and I didn't do any for ages, and I just thought might as well just do them all in one on Thursday up till 11:11.
Why not?
I just said yes to everything. And this morning I woke up and I went, oh, Michelle, Dr. Cooper, I've got a fantastic chiropractor who will be on board. I think I'm going to go live with him, and then I'm going to take that show off completely. This one I think is safe, turning into, it's more of the flowery stuff and the emotional stuff and vulnerable stuff, very
controversial.
But I think maybe Daryl, the one that I did before, I'm going to gauge the energies for that. But with Dr. Cooper, I've got him on next. So if you all are, I know I am Alpa extra active today. I think it's just the full moon kick dreaming. And no, I'm not blaming everything on the full moon. No, it is just, like I said, I'm coming back because I want, I've had moments where I've just like, I couldn't even talk, couldn't even get out of bed. And when you're fighting a lot of health challenges, actually it's this doctor who I went to see in LA. Yeah, and he works closely with Zach Bush, been working with Joe Dispenza, and he's a very, very exuberant character, and you could just feel, again, energetics for him. So I'm really looking forward to that. But I'm very grateful to you, Michelle. I encourage everyone to go on Michelle's website. Please, just for one more time, tell us your website.
It's michellemahal.com.
And you'll find all information about the 10-day free challenge of the True Reflection Challenge, right? So
yeah.
Anything you want to leave our lovely audience with? We've got so many lovely comments here, Michelle, so thank you. And thank you,
that's lovely.
Just thank you for participating. I love this. I love how people just start speaking amongst themselves in these chats, and it's just generally nice. Thank you, Richard, for always being a great moderator. I love you to bits. And yeah, just some final
I would just literally leave you with, you are so loved, you're here for a purpose, and just keep on asking yourself, what do you need to hear right now? And tell yourself all the time. Like, if you could just set yourself a timer several times a day just to tell yourself whatever it is that you need to hear, just as a reminder, eventually that's going to start sinking in. And once it does, your frequency, your beliefs are going to start to shift, and then everything starts to shift. But just remember who you are. You're amazing.
You're amazing. Isn't she amazing?
You're amazing.
Thank you so much. And if you guys haven't got fed up of me, there's 2 more shows. I've got one at 1:30 in the morning with the Guy, Champ, and Charles, the 11:11 Awakening Code on the 11th, my time, UK time. I'm excited, even though I might feel a little bit delirious. I hope that you
time for coffee or something, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Something like, I just have the decaf one, but I'll take the roots. Roots, that's what I'll take. Roots.
There you
roots.
go.
Everyone, that was a game changer for me, Roots, for my brain fog. It is phenomenal. Like,
I love that restore stuff. The
amazing.
Yeah.
Have you tried it?
Yeah. And my little one has it.
Yeah, the Clean Slate. Just check it out on I've put one of the posts up on YouTube, and people who have issues with celiac disease and stuff. Clean Slate is really good. It removes heavy metal toxins. My product, ARII, does that through the sole of the foot, because children don't like taking things through the mouth. So sometimes it's a method.
And the pores on the sole of the foot are the biggest in the whole body, right?
To draw, yeah, it draws it out, or the navel. right? You can put it through the navel, it absorbs. Our skin is the largest organ. So we have to be quite aware. I've got a list of all the toxins that we are susceptible to. And I'm going to be speaking to Wasim as well about, you know, the things that we find in our food. Glyphosate's being a big culprit of causing heavy metal toxins. So roots, that's what I'm going to have. Here it is, right in front of me.
Go for it.
If anyone's seen the Limitless, that film with Bradley Cooper, yeah, well, he takes all these pills and they're called the Limitless pills, and he's able to like learn a new
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Yeah, well, you know, this is called Zero In, and it took about a week for it to kick in for me, but my friends who I give it, and they go straight away, they feel a little bit like on it and really energized, and they keep asking me like give me this, but this really helps mentally.
Amazing.
So raise the sharp focus. So if you haven't tried this, I ain't trying to sell it to you. You could buy it, don't trust me. For me, this will keep me up to 1:30, so even more. But thank you, everyone. Love you all.